Hello and good evening, everyone. This is Popcast on the Rocks, episode 42. It's a podcast about pop culture, the things of it that we like anyways. My name is John. I'm joined as always by Andrea. How are you doing this fine evening?
I am doing well, John. Thanks for asking. It's a lovely Tuesday. Good start to the week. It wasn't too cold out today. Got outside for a brisk walk, which invigorated me, and I'm ready to sit down, talk about all the gaming and entertainment news that happened this last week.
Yeah, it was a busy week in terms of like media things that interest me anyways.
Yes, yeah. We've got a lot to cover tonight, so should be good. How was your week though before we start?
Good. More construction stuff at our place. So that's been people coming and going, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Is that nearing a close or is that still midway?
Yeah, it's getting there in terms of other people being involved. Yeah.
Okay. That's nice.
So, and then playing Cyberpunk and watching the shows for this week and trying to get in some Christmas movies and shows as well.
Sure. Bringing the Christmas cheer. What have you started watching for the season?
So one of my things I was going to recommend too, that we were combing through Disney Plus and the Disney Holiday Sing-Along was in there.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, right. But I guess Ashley watched previous ones or whatever or something, but this was a new one.
Okay.
And I don't think I'd seen one before, but I was just stunned with how good it was. Like, I have a low tolerance for like, I gag at a lot of things, like just my worldview and how I perceive things. It just makes me a lot.
Yeah.
But this, so I was expecting that from this, and it wasn't. It was just good. They had talent on there. It was cute where it needed to be, fun. It really was about like the holiday spirit and cheer and whatever. And it was well produced. It kept going from one thing to the next. This year's the Disney Holiday Sing-Along on Disney Plus, I highly recommend to families everywhere.
All right. Is it a combo of like live action and cartoon? Is it all cartoon, all live action?
It's all live action. It's hosted by like Ryan Seacrest, of course, you know. And it has Katy Perry is in there and Andrea Bocelli and other people that I'm too old to know who they are, and Adam Lambert, and just it's got got people that sing and dance and stuff, and it's kind of like almost a Holly or MTV Cribs thing in a way, because they're like just Seacrest is sitting there in his chair by the fireplace and like introducing each thing, and then you cut to this performer doing some elaborate production at their house or whatever, their mansion,
Oh, sure. I suppose. Yeah, because they all can't get together.
Yeah, whatever. It was, I mean, this was perfect because it was different, like looks and everything, for all the places. So it was very different themes. People did different things. A lot of them did things with their kids, and
cute.
So, wholesome shit right there.
Well, that's adorable. So check that out if you want to get the Christmas spirit going. Even
and then the Muppets movie. Muppets movie is what we watched too.
Christmas Carol?
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
That
is like one of my favorite ones. That's definitely something Chris and I always have to watch. So
I mean, Michael Caine as Ebenezer Scrooge, you can't beat that.
The best. Yeah. Seriously, it's one of my favorite versions of A Christmas Carol.
It's got the right mix of like emotion and funny and
Yeah. And I obviously, like you said, it's Michael Caine. Like he acts the heck out of that. So yeah, even as like a English nerd who is based in the Victorian era, I've had my share of Dickens adaptations, both, on the page and in the media, and Muppet
Right.
Christmas Carol really does it right. So
Yeah. That's awesome.
very solid.
Have you gotten to any Christmas films?
No, we haven't really like hit our Christmas stride yet. We got a tree, we've got lights up. We're just finishing like hanging all the decorations on our tree, and then we're gonna definitely sit down and have a movie night, like a little movie marathon, and turn on the fireplace and get some popcorn and stuff. So
Okay.
we just been a little slow about actually getting that done. Plus, somebody made a very special delivery to me this weekend, distracting me from any potential Christmas shows with The Mandalorian. So I know it's like a million years behind everybody, but I finally started on The Mandalorian, and I started on Luke Cage on Netflix this week. So I've had like a very busy, nerdy schedule of movies that have been going on. So
Yeah, that's right. We need your update there. So you're through Daredevil season 1, you're through with Daredevil season 2,
yes,
and Jessica Jones season 1.
yes,
and now on Luke Cage. Okay.
yes, because I'm trying to do them, yes, in like the actual order, not just the show order. Even though I can't lie, I'm like super tempted to just like watch all of Daredevil, especially obviously with the very exciting news that we got this week.
Yes.
So it's very tempting to just like rush forward and watch all of Daredevil, but I'm holding myself back for now.
Yep. Okay. I have a bit of other TV stuff before we move to like what we've been playing, kind of.
Yeah, sure.
So Apple TV, their app, has, it's designed to be a hub that you go to and you can continue watching where you left off, and you can find things to whatever. Varying degrees of success. I have to say, the Up Next is so, I don't understand what they're getting from me. I took a picture of it because I wanted to bring it up, and because this has happened so many times. Is Up Next, Late Night with Stephen Colbert, The Talk, and 60 Minutes. None of which I have watched in, I have no idea how long. I watched none of those shows. I have none of them set to record. Why are you telling me to watch these shows? Like, they're not things I watch. Okay. So Apple, with your Up Next, maybe put things I'm in the middle of in the Up Next section.
Is it Up Next as in like a full episode is up next, or is it like a trailer? Because if it's a trailer, then okay, all right. If it was a trailer, I was going to give them the benefit of the doubt, because Netflix does that. When you finish a show, they'll like be like, Up Next. It's like they have like those 3 trailers that come on the bottom, which I don't always love either. I don't think that's a particularly successful feature, just because I don't need recommendations from Netflix. I have like 60 million things that I want to watch. Like,
recommendations is what should be under. You said it right there. That's what it should be labeled as then.
Exactly. If I want those, or like they used to have they used to have like a bar on Netflix that was like recommended for Andrea or whatever you named your profile, or that's fine. Keep it there. That's what I want, and then I can choose to go to it. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Don't just like shove stuff up next that I am just going to be annoyed about.
I get like the Colbert so much. Again, like, if it was one time, they're kind of rotating through things.
Sure.
It's just all the time. There's so much. There was a couple other shows in the Up Next that are things we watch. Okay. But the top 3 things, I just don't, not even on my radar. So it's strange.
Poor feature, Apple TV.
Yep. All right. That's my little like spitting rant right there. Looks like you're playing a game this week too, huh?
Yeah, of course. Still playing Borderlands. Still working on it. Still
shanking away.
That's right. I'm making like a more of a run right now. I've got a mission where I've got to go kill somebody, and it's like an actual run. So that's what I'm on right now. So it's kind of like an exciting part of the game. It's not just like
Okay.
me wandering around shanking
Just
people.
leveling up
It's
or something. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, in a fun part, I'm moving forward. I got to keep going. I got to get through this game. I mean, even though it's going to take me 12 years to shank everybody, I got to make it.
Yep. Yep. Well, my game's a little bit newer. Some would say too new. But Cyberpunk 2077.
Yes. How's that
Um,
been going? Been interested
Pretty
to hear about
great.
that all week.
Yeah. So, not that it's like a secret now or whatever, but PSA for anyone that would possibly not know, um, don't buy this game on a regular Xbox One or PS4. Don't do it. Doesn't sound like it's running very good. So,
Yeah.
But Ashley's been playing on our Xbox Series X, and it's performing quite well.
Okay.
And she's getting near the end of the story of the mainline stuff. And I've been playing on the Xbox One X, and I do get crashes. The game does crash on me, but it fortunately loads up quickly, and it saves all the time, constantly.
Good.
So I've never had like, oh my God, I got to redo that all over again. So it's been great, and I've been having a blast with it. I feel bad for like the media firestorm that's surrounding this game right now, and for the poor handling of how it's working on current gen, last gen, whatever. But yeah, I've been having a complete blast. So
awesome.
I probably would have got more done this week. Not for
yeah, that's the point when a new game releases.
Yep. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I didn't really put it in the news. I'll just address it quick, I guess. Like, a lot of people are coming down hard on CG Project Red, and I think for understandable reasons.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is, how you maybe you lied to someone, and then or they misspoke your name, and then a little bit of time goes on, and it gets to the point where it's embarrassing to correct them because they've been saying your name wrong for, at this point, years. And so then you're like, well, oh man. And so I think this game got away from them. They've been developing for like 8 years, and their ambitions for it grew. And instead of getting to that point where before pre-orders or even a twinkle in someone's eye, they're like, sorry, this is only going to be a next gen game now. PC and next gen. That's what's happening here. They didn't do that, and they passed the point of no return. And then it's like, okay, well, now we've got to cram this thing on the old system somehow.
Right.
And hope no one notices, So yeah, it's
and unfortunately everyone is noticing.
Yeah. Yep. So anyways, that's that.
I love, by the way, that you chose that analogy, because that is exactly what happened to me the first time I met Chris's parents. They definitely said my name wrong, and I was too embarrassed to correct them, which I don't know why I was embarrassed. They were saying the wrong name.
My name is
yeah, it was really great. Like, they called me Adrian for the longest time.
I think I've heard that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then they kept doing it while Chris was out of the room. And I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna roll with it. And then it was, we joke about that now. Sometimes I'll just get a text from Chris's dad that just says, Adrian. But yeah, no, the first time Chris came back in the room, he was like, wait, what did you just say? No, her name's Andrea. And I was like, oh, thank you. It was beyond the point where I could correct them.
But then you had to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say it.
Right, it was. They were like, oh, you should have said something. And I was like, I wanted to, but you just kept saying my name, which wasn't my name. Oh, yeah, it was so funny. So, excellent analogy. I definitely was brought right back to that moment where I was just like, oh, the cringe. So.
It's great. All right. Well, drink holidays that
Yeah.
hopefully don't make you cringe.
Yes. None of these would make me cringe. Yesterday, December 14th, we had National Screwdriver Day, which I haven't had in a long time, not only obviously due to pregnancy, but just like kind of one of those like classic breakfast cocktails that, it's just like not quite in fashion anymore. Everybody's either rocking a mimosa or rocking a Bloody Mary. So, but yeah, if you wanted to celebrate that, bring it back a little. That was yesterday. Today, I feel like you might be celebrating this today, which would be International Tea Day.
I am indeed, yes.
All right. What you got? Something soothing, or are you energizing?
So, I don't know what kind of. Wait, I do actually. It's an Earl Grey.
Okay.
With bergamot flavor, essence of maple and lavender flower.
Maple. Interesting.
So this stuff is really cool. It's called Essence of Yennefer. So we're talking about Cyberpunk made by CD Projekt Red, and they make Witcher. This is called Essence of Yennefer, and it's by a place called Wolf Door on Etsy. So tea, Earl Grey, hot. But yeah, it's very good. So shout out to Wolf Door on Etsy for good tea.
Well, very cool. Yeah. I have chosen to celebrate a day that is going to be up in a couple days, which I find very weird, but also I kind of love it. So on December 18th, it is Give a Wine Club Day. So if you're out of Christmas ideas, I know it's super weird. I mean, it's super strange. They just like make stuff up.
But just to have it be a day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose why not do it right before the Christmas season? Like, it's perfect. Like, you have this day that people are like, oh, that's so random. But, oh, don't I have that, like, one friend that I don't have a gift for yet? And I don't know what to get them. Always so hard to shop for. Give a wine club. Do it. So.
Fruit of the Month Club.
Yep.
How about that? Fruit of the Month Club. What is that? That's also, in, like, everybody's Raymond or something.
Also acceptable. Or like, I don't know. I feel like any like gift boxes or food of the month club, like those are fun. Like those are underappreciated as gifts.
Well, Marie Barone, Ray Barone's mother did not appreciate the fruit of the month club gift in Did you watch Everybody Loves Raymond ever?
I did. Yeah. It was always on like late night. So I'd catch like an episode after, after like whatever normal TV you were watching. You were like, right. Yeah, I could just stick around for this.
Okay.
But I don't think I watched.
Like, she didn't understand it was a club, and she's freaked out when, you mean they're going to send me more fruit? Oh my God. What am I going to do with all this fruit?
So. Well, that's crazy. She's nuts. I would totally love that gift. That's awesome.
Make smoothies.
Yeah.
All right, on to the news. Just let everybody know later we got one more Cyberpunk themed episode in store for you, but we've got news to run through, and it's a lot of our nerdy favorites. As the show was closing yesterday or last week, Alan was he found that Sony is buying Crunchyroll. So that's interesting. I think I'd heard of this being rumored a while ago, and I think you said you saw that they were in talks kind of at some point.
Yes. So it had almost happened 2 times before this. They'd been in talks for a while, and they kept like coming back, and they were almost reaching an agreement, and then one side was getting hung up about the price of something, or just didn't quite meet their expectations, so they like backed away from it. But this time sounds like it's for real, and it's happening. And it's for a significant chunk of change. I think it's like 1.27 billion or something like that.
Yeah, it's 1.75.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this. I wonder because AT&T, Time Warner, they have Cartoon Network, I suppose, which includes Adult Swim, and they make their deals already for getting anime on TV. Do you think that they, like, what do you see as their route now? Like, is this AT&T, Time Warner saying we don't care about anime anymore, or they have other venues in which to get it?
I think they just have other venues in which to get it. Honestly,
they own so much.
They do. And the thing that I do wonder about really is what's going to happen with Crunchyroll streaming on HBO Max. That's actually my biggest question right now, because that's probably one of the most mainstream, quote unquote, platforms that Crunchyroll is streaming on. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously Netflix has anime available, and they're developing a lot of their own anime in-house, so they're not really like in the market to acquire anime elsewhere. So Crunchyroll streaming on HBO Max is actually kind of a big deal, I think, that it's that much content available on a platform. And so it makes me wonder what's going to happen to that, or is it nothing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it makes perfect sense that Sony would want to bring in Crunchyroll and have them with Funimation, because they've been working together for a little bit already in some deals. And Sony has never managed to really have a successful streaming platform. Like, they have Crackle, they had PlayStation View.
I forgot
TV.
About that.
Yeah. They have all these different things, and they never have hit, but Funimation, it has its niche market, and Crunchyroll certainly is a niche thing, but well known. So if the two of them are together, this could be something. What does AT&T do then? Am I missing a thing? Netflix has got their stuff. Hulu has got their stuff. They're buying, Amazon is producing their own, they're all doing their own anime, bringing their own stuff over.
Yeah.
What about AT&T?
Yeah. I mean, it does beg the question, if they're trying to build up HBO Max, why in the world would they sell Crunchyroll?
Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Unless that's not part of the deal, unless it's going to be there for a bit until they acquire something else, or potentially there's going to be an announcement, forthcoming that they have acquired something else. Or that they're going to start producing their own. Don't know.
Yeah. Maybe they struck a deal to keep the content on HBO Max, at least for a while or something.
Right.
Transition if you're starting a streaming service, don't get rid of content.
Right. So. And especially, obviously, I mean, you want people to go to HBO Max. That's obviously why, Warner Brothers made their announcement last week that, a lot of this content is going to be available on HBO. You're just getting like what will now be new subscribers, begrudgingly or not, if they're excited about it or not, you're just now getting new subscribers. Like, why would you take off content right now? So.
One other anime TV news, I'll skip to this quick.
Sure.
Just before we started, Ashley saw that they had confirmed that they're making a live action Yu Yu Hakusho.
Shut up. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. TV show coming to Netflix.
Okay.
Of course. I think we should talk about this right after this too, because it goes right with it. All the turning the animated things into live action. I mean, obviously the movie we're talking about this week is that, and then Disney, they can't do anything else other than take all their classic animated films and make them live action. Is this what everybody wants?
I mean, it's clearly what some people want. I mean, there's got to be enough of it, enough profit in it, that they keep doing this. I'm not thrilled about it, because I think their talents are better spent elsewhere, but it's enough, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously we got several different announcements from Disney this week, including the fact that they've already, I think, filmed most of Peter Pan and Wendy and Pinocchio, and they're going to be releasing those live action films on their Disney Plus site, which I think is not surprising at all. I mean, it really just like kind of follows what they did with Mulan. Hopefully with less disappointing results for them. And then they just announced that they're going to remake the Fantastic Four again. Speaking of live action.
Yeah, I had missed that. I had missed that one. I wonder.
Yeah, it was kind of buried in there. They had an announcement, and they were talking about, God, what was it, like 50 or 60 shows that were going to be coming to Disney Plus. And some of it we'd already known. Some of it was like, you know, like hosted shows, or, you know, kind of like what's the Jeff Goldblum one that he did?
Oh, yeah. The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. So it's like that kind of like hosted, you know, exploratory kind of show. And then of course we should talk about like the slate of new Star Wars stuff that's coming. But then they snuck in there like these announcements about their live action films and the fact that they're going to remake Fantastic Four, which I have to say is a remake I'm okay with. Okay. Because I feel like Fantastic Four has just been really disappointing.
Well, right. But I mean, is it just, are people just done with them? Are they going to give them another chance? You know?
I feel like, okay, so I feel like this is maybe like a Goldilocks situation. Like the first set of movies was too lighthearted. The second was way too dark, like took it in like a way too serious direction. Hopefully this third time we're going to get it just right. Okay. Seriously. I mean,
I don't doubt it. It's possible.
If those movies had been better, I would be annoyed. This would be like a Spider-Man situation where I'm like, press pause. But because they're so terrible, I'm willing to give them one more shot because I do like the story of Fantastic Four. So
I thought they would introduce them in the rest of the shows somewhere. But it's difficult to see right now.
It might.
What is the main line? You know, before it was like, okay, we're going to always have this Avengers movie, and then we're going to, you know, tell character. It's getting to be a lot. Very, you know, so I don't know. It's just Disney, Marvel, that's all in flux right now. Really, it'd be really interesting to see what this next decade of content, where they move this. Because it's a lot of things.
Right.
And sticking with that, I guess we got Thor, Love and Thunder casting news.
Christian Bale. About this. I'm psyched about this.
Christian Bale. Villain Gore the God Butcher, huh?
I feel cool. First of all, wicked cool name. Second of all, I really feel like Christian Bale could fit in this world. Like I think he's gonna be a great foil to all like the comedic lightness that Taika Waititi brings to Thor. He's gonna be awesome. And I feel like he's gonna be one of those actors who transforms himself and he's not gonna be Christian Bale. Because he's just such like a great, like, you know,
does that all the time. Yep.
Exactly. He's going to put on the weight. He, you know, if he needs to be big or if he needs to be like, you know, Thor size, like muscle bulk, whatever it is, he's going to do it. He's going to bring it and I'm going to believe it. So.
Yeah, it'll be like his role in, what was the name of that one? Ford versus Ferrari. He's like, he's really thin. He's kind of, I don't know. He's a strange guy in that show.
Ken Miles, right? That's his name? Ken Miles?
That sounds right.
Driver? Yeah. Took me a minute.
So then to see him in the next thing, if he's like super jacked again or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I was just, I don't remember what online news outlet had it, but they were just kind of like in celebration, going back through some of his like biggest transformations.
Mm.
And yeah, it's just impressive to see how he like yo-yos around. I'm sure that's
Yep.
terrible for his body. And when
Yeah.
he's older, there's going to be some sort of side effect from all of that. But yeah, like thinking about, how wiry he got for Ford v Ferrari, or even, taking it that step further for the fighter and the machinist, where he's just
Yep.
like absolutely rail thin, and then turning it around almost immediately to bulk up for, Batman Begins. And then also, gosh, what was that? American Hustle, where he just is fat. That's like
Oh yeah,
all
yeah.
him. That's all him
Yep.
putting on the
And
weight. So
yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Good casting. Good job.
The last bit of Marvel news, the part that has me most excited is, so we talked, I think, last week about they're doing, it seems, some sort of Spider-Verse, bringing the previous Spider-Man back into one film in the Spider-Man 3. So
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Well, rumor is now that Netflix's version of Daredevil, Charlie Cox, is set to resume the role in this film. So it's not confirmed, but it seems like there's some pretty good sources behind it.
Yeah, it's everywhere on a lot of news outlets. So I have to believe there's something real behind it, even if we don't have like a verbal confirmation yet. There has to be something stronger than a rumor.
Yep. It was interesting. Grace from Beyond the Trailer. You should check out her page, guys.
Yeah.
But it's she says her sources told her that Kevin Feige likes, from Netflix, Daredevil, Punisher, Kingpin, and Jessica Jones. Those are the actor portrayals that he is cool with.
Okay.
Everybody else can go away.
Ouch.
So
it's very selective.
Yeah, well, I mean, he didn't have creative control over those things, and I think that bothers him. But certain fans' voices, I guess, are loud enough, make them pay attention. Like, what would maybe be worth keeping here? I'm still holding out that, thinking this will very possibly be just a cameo. Like, he'll show up. He'll show up for a small bit and then be zapped back to his dimension or something. Sure. That's what I'm expecting. I should say I'm holding out hope for that they just bring him in. They just fold him in. But what do you think they'll do?
I mean, I saw something right before the show that was speculating on, Charlie Cox having a bit part as Spider-Man's lawyer somehow, which would obviously, of course, make a lot of sense. Yeah. So that could give hope for at least, some solid screen time. It wouldn't be, just like a blip in and out. You would actually get to see him for a little bit. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I don't have high expectations just because there are so many rumors about so many other Spider-Man characters coming back.
Yeah.
Like we talked about Doc Ock and MJ from other universes, and Gwen Stacy as well. It would be almost like managing an Avengers movie to like have all of these people in there for great lengths of time. So do I think it's a cool idea? Does Marvel have experience in that? Of course they do. But I don't know how likely they are to do it again. So
I have to hope that it just so happens that we're getting like, oh, he's spotted on set kind of rumors and stuff involved, that this is coming out alongside the news of people from other movies coming back. Because the people from other movies are very clearly, okay, we're dealing with a different, multiple timelines kind of thing, multiple dimensions. I'm hoping that is that part of it. And separately, not from a different dimension, from this one that you're already in, here Daredevil. Comes, yeah. And that's what we have to hope for, is that
Yeah.
he's not popping in whatever this event is that pulls people to some other to this dimension or whatever.
Right.
And no, he's just already here, and the attorney for Peter Parker.
Right.
You know? So.
Yeah, obviously that's the best case scenario for fans who would like to see him, come back in some meaningful way.
Yep.
So I feel like I have high hopes but tempered expectations, I should say.
Yes.
But I mean, on the other hand, we've talked about a lot of the time in watching, things like Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and then thinking about them like referencing, the events of Avengers. Why wouldn't it be likely that, two superheroes that run around in the same city wouldn't meet each other? I mean, why not? At some point, it makes logical sense. I mean, obviously, New York City's huge. It's not like you just like run around the corner and, they're on their way to the supermarket and be like, oh, hey. But it makes sense that, in some fashion, like events get big enough that they hear about it from one another and they're like, well, I have to do something. So.
Well, and that's the thing. It's never not made sense. That's the problem. It's always made sense, and then they don't do it.
And then they just don't do it.
Way back,
because I think it actually makes less sense to not have these crossovers.
Yeah,
because it's so logical that they would see each other.
It came up in, that was the big thing with the first part of the last Avengers, the two-parter, when they all showed up in New York and Doctor Strange is there and Spider-Man and Iron Man, it's all this stuff. It's like this is home turf here of some of the Defenders, some of these people. The fact that you didn't have Iron Fist show up or Jessica Jones or someone when their city is being very clearly attacked is an obvious exclusion, and leads to the idea that Feige just doesn't want to deal with you and these group right now,
Right.
So, but the other theory that was put up was that they axed all the Netflix shows quickly because they knew this stuff was going through and they want to just get the rights back to these characters as quickly as possible.
Right.
So the rights for Daredevil just returned to Marvel, so they can actually do that now. If they had let it go for another season, they'd be missing the multiverse event if they need to use that as an excuse.
Right. So. Yeah, so really now what needs to happen is they need to prove that it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
That they got the rights back in time to do this thing where Daredevil enters, the Spider-Man multiverse, and it needs to be good. Because those shows were good. And if you're going to cancel them, then you need to follow up with something that's equally good, I think.
Yep. Well, should we talk about something that's usually not equally as good as, I don't know, anything else? Star Wars?
Well, it's going to have plenty of chances to try and redeem itself. I mean, how many of these shows? Like, there's at least 10.
I know. It's too many. I didn't even write them all down.
I know.
But I guess that's the hope here. It's like they can't all be bad, right?
Right. Something's got to be good.
Right. So, of the things that I'm like, was there anything that you stood out for you as like, I'm excited for this from Star Wars? Or
yeah. So, the show revolving around Cassian Andor, I'm really excited about that with Diego Luna. I'm really excited about that just because I actually really loved that spinoff. So I think that's going to be a fun time and a fun character to explore. And then of course, Ahsoka's show is going to be fantastic, I think. I mean, I'm a little nervous that I'm going to like not be able to separate Rosario Dawson from Rosario Dawson, but I'm going to like,
don't worry about it.
I'm going to try and suspend it.
I think Rosario Dawson is good for that role. So.
Yeah, I do think she's good for it, but yeah, just sometimes like you get it in your head and you're just like, I see you. So
it helps when you're an alien.
It does. Obviously,
anytime you got to transform that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah.
But
Ahsoka, I'm very excited for that. Definitely. Once they announced that, it made me really wonder, um, like right now, Mandalorian is sort of
Mm-hmm.
becoming larger than you would expect
Mm-hmm.
initially. And
Yeah.
so in a way, this makes sense to like, okay, we have this time period, we're going to start telling other stories,
Mm-hmm.
and not like make sure we cram everything into one show.
Yeah.
I just wonder how they're going to, you know, separate these things, how they're going to segment everything. What is the identity of one show versus another, and how are they going to connect,
Mm-hmm.
while still being different shows? What are they going to be responsible for? What's the
Sure.
overall? I feel like there's planning being involved right now. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I know it's Star Wars. I feel like there's some planning on some level as to like what's going to go where and what's the overall story we're going to
Yeah.
tell. And I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up, but that's what it feels like right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's promising. It's kind of like how I imagine if um Game of Thrones around season 6 had gotten like a spin-off, that they could have
Mm,
like unburdened themselves of some of the pressure of like trying to like tell all of these like interconnected storylines and been like, listen, we're just gonna like siphon off some of these characters and just like be over here so we don't have to feel like we're doing everything all at once. Not that
right.
I think that that would have totally saved the show, but I think it's like you said, there's just something about um, you know, a show growing too big for itself and trying to do everything, tell every story, be this larger universe that really has risks in storytelling. And I think some of those risks are absorbed by creating spin-offs.
Sure. Makes sense. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Spread
I
your weight
saw that.
out.
I saw that. Sorry,
Uh,
Alan just shot us a casting note. Matt Smith is going to be in the new Game of Thrones show. The about the
yes,
Targaryens.
that's
I
right.
saw that.
I
It's
am. My expectations are just nothing for that right now. We'll just
yeah.
see. I'm just soured from it. I'm just trying to remember what the good things of Game of Thrones,
Hmm.
and hopefully I'm wrong and it's awesome. I could always use some more Matt Smith. So
Absolutely. I wouldn't have immediately pictured him as a Targaryen, so I'm interested to see that
yeah.
transformation happen.
Mhm. Yep.
I'll say that.
I'm also very excited for the Patty Jenkins Rogue
Yeah.
Squadron
Mm-hmm.
movie. Um, she and her little like announcement video for it was very cool. She talked about like growing up with a father that was a pilot and
Hmm.
loving, she just always wanted to make, you know, um, like a fighter pilot movie and stuff.
Sure.
And now she gets to do a movie of two things she loves. So
Hmm.
um, she's it's early because I've only seen the first Wonder Woman, and hopefully the second one lives up to expectations.
Right.
So but either way, the idea of a Rogue One movie and just based off of the first Wonder Woman, I'm excited for that one.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, not only do I think she did a great job with Wonder Woman, she obviously got experience like shooting
Right.
a fighter pilot type movie because it's like half of what Wonder Woman is because
Sure.
obviously Steve is.
Involved. Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean she's got some experience now and what that's like um and on a bigger budget too. You know what I mean? Like making a bigger budget like
Yeah.
epic kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, should be good.
And then I guess Kenobi. I mean, that's one that they had been
Yeah.
it's been talked about for a long time and it was kind of on pause and what's happening. And Hayden Christensen is back as Vader for that. So um I mean, I don't know what to
Mm,
expect there, what
yeah.
they're gonna tell with this story, but I like Obi-Wan, so
Yeah.
hopefully.
I have to imagine Hayden Christensen is just like chomping at the bit to like prove
Redeem himself.
himself. Yeah, to redeem himself and prove himself because I mean, I think he did a little bit of that in Revenge of the Sith. That's probably my favorite movie out of the trilogy, but we're all just so like stuck in Clone Wars or Attack of the Clones, excuse me. Just stuck in that like
It just
whiny
wasn't his
teenager
fault,
mode.
though. It
No,
wasn't his fault.
no, it's
Like,
not his
that's it.
fault. Like, I agree with you.
He
But
gets the shaft for it, but
unfortunately, he's the one on the screen, and he's the one who had to
I
pay the
know.
price for that because we all watched it
Yep.
happen, and we all saw how terrible it was. Was he given good material? Absolutely not. Like,
I mean,
not his
when
fault, but it's just terrible.
Yep. When you have movies that have Natalie Portman not looking her best, you just can't blame. I mean, there's only so. I mean, there's people like Liam Neeson. He's just gonna always show up and he's gonna be good. I mean, I try to make Liam Neeson look bad. All right, try it. It's not gonna work. But otherwise, it's not. Yeah, I'm excited for him to have another director, another chance at this, whatever part it may be playing.
I agree. It takes a strong actor to kind of resist, the pull of that material and rise above. And unfortunately for Hayden Christensen, like that just wasn't his moment. He wasn't established enough. He's not, got decades of experience under his belt. So he unfortunately suffered the worst of it. So good on him for getting another chance.
Right. He gets some like Kristen Stewart goes from Twilight and then keeps getting other roles, keeps getting other things. And then you have someone like Hayden Christensen that they're just done with him.
Yeah.
Not going to give me anything else. So, but I mean, for all we know, he'll literally just be in the suit.
True. Yeah.
I mean, he's not the voice anything. In that case. He could just be in the suit and you wouldn't even know it. So.
Yeah. This could be a, oh my gosh. I can't think of the name of the show now that we watched. Like Pedro Pascal. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gosh, what am I thinking of with Brendan Fraser when you're like blown
Doom
away?
Patrol, yeah.
Doom Patrol. Thank you. All I could think of was Cliff Steele, and I'm like, that'd be a great name for a show, but it's not the show. When you were like blown away to find out it wasn't Brendan Fraser in the suit. It was just him doing the voice. So.
Yep. Okay, well, there's lots more there. There's a High Republic show. There's an animated Bad Batch show. Many things. But yeah, that's what stood out to me. I think that's most of the news. Can kind of skip. Alien. There's going to be an Alien series on FX and Hulu.
I'm really excited about that.
I'm worried.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's a theme. Maybe I'm just pessimistic now if it comes to this stuff. I just, but yeah. I mean, Ridley Scott's involved. I mean, I will certainly give it a try.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's still got it. If we're judging by any of his obviously more recent content, he's still got it.
Yeah. Right. Alan says Willow. Yeah, Willow was announced. They're doing Willow. Yep. Willow is awesome, by the way. Val Kilmer. Mm-hmm. That's a fun movie.
Val Kilmer in his prime, not Val Kilmer now.
No. Yeah, Warwick Davis. I mean, man, Lucas employed him, gave him a good start. So, all right. More Cyberpunk. We got another week of Cyberpunk things. So spoilers. We talk a little bit about Angel Cop. I didn't get to any more of that. So we'll see what further you have to say there. And then looks like we both watched the Battle Angel OVA / movie from 1993. And the newer live action rendition of Alita Battle Angel. So we'll be getting to 3 of those things. Mm-hmm. What more say ye on Angel Cop?
So overall, thinking back on the series, I'm not super convinced about the cyberpunkness of it. Okay. It does fall in line more, of course, with Eastern cyberpunk, which it is. Um, but there's just not a strong enough element. Again, I think it suffers a little bit of the same fate as Wicked City, where there's not enough other people in this story to build out a world where we're looking at like this sort of high tech, low life kind of thing. Do I think it does it a little bit better than Wicked City? Yes, I do. The world is a little bit more fleshed out. They explain, so they've got like these characters who are um, cyborgs, some of them, and then some of them have like powers that we've seen, of course, in other movies. And they explain where this comes from a little bit better. They talk about like this cybernetic lab where all of this technology is being created. So at least it's got something reminiscent of that in there.
Right.
But I don't think it's enough to like really push it into this like cyberpunk universe. I think it's a stretch. It's a loose definition. Two of our main characters are always riding around on like motorcycles. So maybe that's where they're like kind of bringing this like punk element, but both of them are also cops at the same time. So it's like really, it's just not that same, I think, really lower level of humanity that we're used to seeing in other movies. So
sure. It seems to me that cyberpunk ends up being defined, like it seems like almost a prerequisite for the genre, that it's defined by the location. I think we talked about this before, but it's kind of like you can't have a Western not in what seems like the West. I mean, The Mandalorian in many ways is a Western. It's like a spaghetti Western kind of thing at times, but it's not a Western because it takes place all the places more. It would be classified as like sci-fi. So
yeah, I think this is just kind of suffering from it's drawing from too many different things, and it's not exactly committing to being something like solidly rooted in a genre. It's definitely got some hallmarks of things that we talked about with looking at Eastern cyberpunk in general, where it's got some elements of Western in the sense that like in this series, Japan is like a superpower. And of course, that's like in Western cyberpunk, that's a fear. Whereas in Eastern cyberpunk, the fear is Japan is a superpower and the West is trying to take it away. So it's very interesting that they've got these like similar fears going on. But you really, really see this like absolute terror in Angel Cop, where Japan is like a dominant country and the West is just trying to take it over. Like literally there's a whole subplot about how, major spoiler alert, the communists that we're introduced to in the first couple of episodes are actually being masterminded by American capitalists who are trying to come in and like take over Japan. And
kind of like funding a terrorist group.
Exactly.
To do your work.
Exactly. So this whole like communist organization is just a big smokescreen for selling out Japan to the Americas and to capitalism. And that capitalism trumps your love of country and your patriotism. And therefore, truth and justice and order that Japan has are all suffering because of American capitalism and their capitalist interference. So
deflect to your enemy is, deflect someone's attention.
Yeah, it was. That was a really interesting element, and that was actually kind of the part of the show that really like saved it for me. Sure, because it made a lot more sense.
Unexpected twist and
it made sense. It felt like it fit within the genre, and it was well done. Where like I hadn't been expecting it, so it was like a cool reveal and a cool twist.
So did the communists know that they were being played or like figure that out or something?
They did.
Or were they like literally a part of it? Or is it like, we just think that we're, they had no idea, You know, they thought they were accomplishing their goals, and
so both
okay.
They ended up being divided where one of them was like, no, this is my mission and this is what I've been given and you're all lying to me, and you know, only we know the truth and only we can save Japan from, you know, the people who are trying to take it over. And then the other two were like, whoa, we've totally been blinded, and you know, we've been used, and we understand like what's been happening now, and we're going to like come over and join, you know, our main characters who are kind of like, they're like the kind of rogue police officers who aren't part of the system, and they're supposed to be like our I guess punks, but they're just not quite, of course, because they are part of the system.
Right.
So
they realize that at the end that they're
and it kind of just sort of ends there with like
no
this
resolution.
Yeah, it's like this immediate conflict between the two sides is resolved, but there's no larger resolution. So it just like intimates that, man, this was like a battle in a long-standing war, and neither side exactly won, and we're just going to move forward and see what happens. Yeah. But it was also funny because one of the big ending lines is like very inspiring. Like one of the cops says something about how, you know, evil may have a moment, but good always triumphs in the end. And you know, it was like this big, like rousing, inspiring thing. And then all of a sudden you end and they're like, and everybody died, and you know, these guys got away, and you know, like it was just so like, sure. I mean, very real, I guess, but yeah, unsatisfying.
Tough for storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a like maturely done show anyways.
Yeah.
Complex and interesting. So
yeah, if you're looking for a more cinematic wrap up, this would frustrate you for sure. If you're looking for something that's at times fun, nostalgic, you know, I talked a lot about in the beginning how it's definitely like an 80s throwback, and it's got some fun dialogue and stuff like that. But then, like I said, also ends very realistically. This would be a great show to watch.
Okay. All right. Well, in other Cyberpunk, so this is interesting. So Alita, Battle Angel, also just called Battle Angel, also just called Gun. Oh, I gotta look that up. I shouldn't say it before I look it up. Alita, Battle Angel. It's referred to as a number of things here.
Alan typed it, but I'm still gonna let you say it.
Oh, he did type it in here. Ganmu. Yeah. Literally meaning gun dream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which is interesting. I don't know why so when they spell it out in English, it's not how you would pronounce it, the way they spell it in English. So it make people mispronounce it all the time. But then when you look at like how it would be phonetically sounded out, it makes sense. So why don't you just spell it that way? I don't understand. Anyways, this is a series. The manga ran for a few years in like the 90s, kind of a classic. And I never had any exposure to this really, other than like happening to see some of the volumes of manga in the store when they started showing up, bringing manga at the FYE or whatever. It's like, oh, what's this? Japanese comics, crazy. So I missed out on that, but you saw a couple years ago now already, right?
At least a year ago, yeah.
A year ago, yeah. I suppose it came out early 2018. So you saw Alita, Battle Angel, by Robert Rodriguez, and written by, in part, James Cameron. Crazy, enough. I missed out on it, didn't see it. So when we talked for a while about watching this. And well, when Cyberpunk event comes up, it makes perfect sense to watch it for this. Well, I saw the OVA, the animated version based on like volumes 1 and 2 of the manga or something like that.
Very short.
Yeah, I saw that before I saw this movie, and we were talking before the show, and you were saying how, wow, the anime sure seemed to clarify the movie in ways. And I thought I thought the same thing, but for the other film.
Yes.
I saw the anime first and then the movie, and I thought, this makes so much more sense to me now. And I thought, like, well, it made sense that I was confused or missing something in the anime, because it's literally just the first bit of the manga.
Right.
Just chopped out with nothing else, and clearly designed to continue on. And I will learn more as we go. The movie, I feel like, took some more pieces from later and gave me tidbits of other stuff, and added depth that wasn't in existence in the anime. But you feel the other way.
I do. I feel like the OVA was just so direct and to the point. Like, it was like all the essential things that I needed to understand the story. And then the live action tacked on a bunch of stuff that didn't quite fit. Now, do I agree that, you know, the OVA as like a standalone, obviously meant to continue, like cuts off at a weird place? For sure. Like I wanted it to keep going, and I wanted there to be more of a resolution. Although, having just come from like the non-resolution of Angel Cop, you know, I was kind of like, sure, why not? So yeah, so I just felt like in the OVA, everything just like moved quickly, and it was like the bare essentials of everything, and it all moved forward, and I was fine with that. And then in Alita, the movie, I felt like I was watching two different shows that were somehow woven together and didn't quite make sense. They weren't quite in the same universe as each other. And I just felt like I was watching like an adult piece of a film and a kid piece of a film that were tied together poorly.
Okay.
So
I was a little surprised by the movie, the live action one.
Yeah.
I didn't, for whatever reason, like, I remember when it came out and there was some hubbub. It was very sort of like, audience score was good, critic score is bad, kind of thing. And I don't know, I just didn't get to seeing it. I know I had wanted to. There was some other movie that came out around the same time too that was like stealing a lot of attention from it, I believe.
Was it Ghost in the Shell?
No.
Okay.
Definitely not that. Some other live.
I have a feeling you're right. There was something like this, like Alita or Ghost in the Shell, that was out at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back and see what there was, but there was some other movie that was being more advertised and really getting, you know, I wonder if it was it wouldn't have been Wonder Woman.
No,
I don't know, whatever. But so I passed it by, but to me, I'm surprised that a movie like this doesn't catch on more. I know that there's lots of fans, but in terms of just like box office numbers, because this movie read to me as
interesting.
John Carter. This is a Star Wars
really?
John Carter kind of thing. This is a hero's tale sort of thing. So you have the youth that wants to escape or whatever, you know, they're destined for greater things, and then there is a death, something traumatic that is then the turning point for them to whether they will that will propel them forward or will they not. So it's Luke Skywalker, you know, I'm sick of here, I want to go on to greater things. And then Obi-Wan comes along and says, you know, your father was a Jedi, explaining past that you didn't know, an importance that you have that you were not aware of before. Well, I don't want to do that, I can't ever leave or whatever. Well, then the thing that was holding you down, the thing that was tying you here that you love dies. Now you choose to go off on the hero's journey. This is the same thing as this. It's the same thing as John Carter. And I think that these, like, all ages, kind of based on mythology or our standard like archetypes things, I'm shocked none of it can take off. Like, it seems like Star Wars is the only thing we're going to get, you know. And so I was very impressed with this movie. I thought that there's a lot of ways they could have misstepped. Like, I didn't know what I'd think about the big eyes, lots of the CG stuff, but it didn't bother me at all.
Yeah. I agree with that for sure. Like, technologically, I thought this movie was great. Like, I thought everything in terms of technological advancement and the fact that, like, you were dealing with a cyborg doctor, you know, and obviously a society that's very clearly like into cybernetic and that sort of technology made sense. Absolutely. I think that part of the movie worked really, really well. It's just some of the plot points that I didn't think actually translated from the OVA and animation to live action necessarily. And I see where you're coming from with like this being a sort of like John Carter, like, why didn't this take off? You know, it's got a lot of great elements. And I think part of the reason that I agree with you more on John Carter, like, why didn't that take off, is that it's geared more for like adults. Like, everybody in the movie is an adult. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
do you remember some of the aliens in there?
Totally.
Like, they were kind of goofy.
They were, but like, you knew that everybody in John Carter was an adult. And I think this movie suffers a little bit from the teenagers not being old enough. So they almost treat them like kiddie-like. You know, they're like almost a little bit too young, and they seem a little bit like Disneyfied. You know, and then you've got like these adults who are clearly into some dark stuff. So they just don't mesh together quite as neatly, I think, as they could. And that's where I'm getting like the dissonance, where like you think about the first time Alita runs out into the street and she's like playing with a puppy and she's dressed in this like, you know, very young looking like t-shirt and shorts kind of thing. And she's got like all these like pale pastel-y colors and she seems so childlike. And then she goes and plays this like rollerblading game with her friends and it's all very like cute and like everybody's having a good time. And then suddenly you're like thrown into, holy crap, there's this whole other dark side of, you know, people and cyborgs slaughtering each other, people ripping out organs and using them for experiments, and like, you know, the Sky City needs organs and people harvest this stuff. It didn't quite gel, I think. And I think because like Jennifer Connelly and Mahershala Ali and Edward Norton were playing a darker movie than, say, our main character and Christoph Waltz were. Christoph Waltz to me was like totally cutesy as her dad and like super sweet and nice, and I didn't quite buy him as like this like hunter warrior.
I will agree with that part. Well, firstly, I should say Hunter Warrior is a dumb title. Okay,
yes,
that's what's stupid.
When
I saw that first in the anime too, I'm like, come on,
right?
It must be some. Is that something with the translation? Because that's silly. But I will agree. I thought that Christoph Waltz did a good job, but because he does look a lot like the drawing.
Yeah.
But I didn't buy that character in the anime being a hunter warrior either. It did seem out of his depth in that. Especially when you look at the other hunter warriors, then it's like, geez, you know, they're decked out. So this guy in a cap with a scythe kind of thing.
Yeah. Which I thought worked in the anime because he did less of it. There were more sequences in the live action movie where Christoph Waltz, like that battle was totally like drawn out a lot longer. And he was like awkwardly swinging that scythe around and, you know, trying to like talk about like, oh, we have a code and I'm gonna go collect my bounties, and he was like checking bounty boards and stuff, and I was like, I need all of that to go away because I agree with you. I didn't buy it in either scenario, but it was mercifully shorter in the OVA, so I could put up with it.
I think there's I think part of the issue they were going to run into with this is, I think Robert Rodriguez is pretty interested in staying faithful where he can to the source. And I think if they were going to redo this, I mean, you see Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards. He is scary.
Yes.
He can do that. But they would need to give him a different weapon. They need to give him something lighter and more compact. They'd have to CGI him up a little, give him some robotic limbs and stuff, or something, even the playing field, as opposed to like just this rocket mall you just kind of wave around,
Yes.
But that was the source. They can't change that without like eliciting rage. And the other dichotomy there with the youth, they already, I think it's two parts. One, it's a Japanese thing. Tweens save the universe all the time. Like they're 14, objectified, and save the entire human existence all the time. Right. So you put that in live action, you're like, what? No. So they aged them up some. They clearly were not as young as they were in the anime, but not to the point where they're. And I would have personally been okay with that. But that's me coming from not having read this as a kid or something. And like, I'm diehard into this being faithful and truthful to the source material.
Right. So, and that's the tough part, because Alita did clearly, if it wasn't borrowing straight from the OVA, it had to have been borrowing from the manga. And it just seemed like when you watch these like side by side, if you're already going to make changes from the OVA, make some more changes then. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they plopped the OVA into live action and then did other stuff. So it's like, if you're already going to make changes, make those necessary changes.
Well, and some of the things that the movie live action really made me appreciate more was, for instance, how they kept getting taken over by those above. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That I had no idea of, if that was in the anime at all or happens later. Mm-hmm. It was not, to me, hinted at, but that was a whole nother layer of threat. Mm-hmm. And it's directly involving then the what is the real antagonist here.
Right. Right.
So I liked that a lot. I also liked the relationship more. Like, I'm not big for like youth relationship things in movies or whatever, but in the anime, Alita was clearly into the other kid,
Hugo.
But he was always so aloof in the anime. Like he clearly just wanted to go harvest organs. He was one track mind. I am gonna get up to. I keep. What's the name of the place? I just watched it.
In the OVA, it sounds like they're saying Zarum, and then in this, it's Zolom. So I don't really know.
Okay.
I don't really know pronunciation, but you get the idea. Cloud City, basically.
Right. Yeah. So so in this, I actually thought there was a reciprocation here. Like, okay, with the expressions on their faces, you could see both were intrigued by one another, and I thought largely that was sweet, and we didn't see too much of him harvesting organs and busting up body parts, which was like the predominant thing that this kid did in the other one. And they also, you could tell by the the age thing. That was the big where it hit me. In the anime, he has one sip of alcohol, and then he's throwing up when he gets back.
Yeah.
In the movie here, he's like, oh, there was alcohol involved. I was drinking.
Yeah.
So, so I liked their relationship more. I did not buy it in the anime.
No, that part does like sort of just happen very quickly, where Alita's like, pretty sure I love him, gonna ask him, gonna make him tell me, oh, we love each other, and bam. Like that's you know, obviously not well developed. Although of course I think you can see it easily in both, of course, happening from Alita's side. You know, she's like the first boy she encounters, like, oh my God, he's so cute. And, you know, she just like immediately is like, I like him. So I think her part makes sense in both. But you're right, Hugo, of course, has time to actually like develop feelings in the live action one.
Like go on some dates, you know.
Right. Yep. Weird dates. It's yeah. I mean,
here's a sunken ship. I mean, it's adventure, you know.
Yeah, it's super strange. They have some really awkward moments, I think, in the live action where she's talking about like the touch sensors on her body, and you're just like, please stop it.
See,
please don't.
And I liked that too. I thought like that's an interesting way that because clearly there would be questions of, I mean, compatibility, and she asked at one point, can like a cyborg love a human and stuff, and things wouldn't be normal. So those would be conversations and weird, cute, awkward, budding relationship things, like that. So I kind of like that. There wasn't a sex scene or anything.
Oh yeah, thank God.
Like that.
Yeah, I feel like in the anime, that was actually the part that I did like, that they didn't talk about it, that it was just like, yeah, it's just gonna happen, because of course it's not even a question. Like, you know, they just like get together and they like kiss and whatever, and they're just like, yep, we love each other. And while I agree the lead up to the I love you is not developed at all, I just like the simplicity of the OVA kind of just moving past that question, being like, of course it's fine. Like, this is the society we're in. It's so prevalent everywhere. We just like, you know, we just accept it. Whereas I think it's a more interesting question. And I think, I guess maybe this is a question to ask of Alita in both the OVA and the live action movie. I think humans and androids is more of a question where you talk that out, because androids always have a mechanical origin. Whereas like when you say cyborg, there's sometimes an assumption of a human origin, and you just keep getting like these replacements and upgrades and things. So there's not like a question of the fact that you possessed like what we might consider like true humanity at one point.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah. Right. So I think
you can have an identity crisis, because like, am I still human? But you clearly were human. Once. I mean, you can take, So it's not like, do I have a soul or not?
Right. Which I think, of course, like we grapple with in things like Westworld or Blade Runner, whereas we just don't quite grapple with that in other things. Like Angel Cop had, of course, unfortunately you missed this, in the later episodes, they had like a bunch of, you know, human cyborg interaction. It was just like, well, that's fine. It's totally fine. Like, we're just going to be in love with each other because you were human once and it's not a question. Yep. So, yeah. So going from that, I think, again, maybe to Alita influenced my mindset a little bit, where I was just like, sure, like, it's not even a question. They don't have to talk about it.
I also, I didn't like in the anime that, so finds her core, her head and stuff, and puts the body on. I don't think I realized that was his daughter's body. That was built for his body, for his daughter. Important. I don't know that I realized his daughter's name was Alita.
Yeah, they skip over that.
I also was like, so you're telling me you built this body for her after you found her and didn't know it could do this?
Yes.
Had this kind of power? And then the movie made it okay, it's not supposed to do this. It is what you're trying to do, this body is not capable of. And therefore here we get the real body. And then the body being from that added a whole nother level of importance to this whole thing, realizing that she is tech from Mars, which was the enemy
Right.
of these people.
Right.
And now she's going to be basically their fighter for the people on the ground or whatever. Depth,
Yeah.
complexity added, and then we get cool flashbacks to get to see that she was this warrior. And again, these are probably things all are explained in the manga and
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So it's not a critique on the manga. This is a critique on the OVA that I think shouldn't have been made, because it just stops. It doesn't tell you,
Right.
it doesn't fulfill any of these things that were answered and made this world really feel more important, her story more important, and the world feel richer.
Yes, I will absolutely completely agree with you there. Whether the OVA thought it was going to be getting more, if
Right.
this was
Yeah.
going to be, further developed, perhaps they were saving that, unfortunately, for a thing we never got to see. If not, then I absolutely agree, in very poor taste to leave that out, because I had the same exact question. When she goes up against like a lot of these hunter warriors, and is just capable of doing things that she's not even aware of, that Ito's not aware of. It's like, I agree, you built that body, you had to know what it was able to do. So it's a huge plot hole that I agree is addressed much more clearly, much more logically, of course, and much more richly in Alita. So
Right.
I will absolutely give you that one for sure.
So, according to Wikipedia,
Mm-hmm.
it says that let's see. According to Kishido, only 2 episodes were originally planned. At the time, he was too busy with the manga to review the plan coolly, and was not serious about the anime adaptation.
Okay,
It
then yeah, it should never have
remains
been
the
made.
only anime adaptation of Battle Angel Alita to date, and there are no plans to revive it.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
should
like
never have been
why,
made then. I mean, it was
you
cool.
know,
Like I liked it. I wish they would have kept going, because
right.
I thought it actually was pretty good for what it started off as. But yeah, if that was your only plan, then no, don't make that. Don't make that like, it's basically just one big giant tease of like, look at how
Yeah,
cool this could be, and then
right,
never finishing it.
right, exactly. Um, so yeah, I was impressed. I liked the tone of the world that they set in the OVA. I liked the color palette,
Mm.
the grim nature of it. I like I love the fight sequences. I thought they were very
Mm-hmm.
well choreographed.
Yes.
Um, they were having her being very CGI and like the face and stuff, and the other characters being so ridiculous, the kind of over the top, crazy fights and stuff. I was sold on that, and they never did any sort of garbage like jump cuts. Can't
Mm-hmm.
tell what's happening. You could always get a scale and a scope, an understanding of the action that was taking place
Yes.
very clearly. And so I thought it was shot quite well.
Yeah,
Um,
I
do you feel
agree.
these fit in the cyberpunk genre well?
Um, I do. Um, yeah, I guess I think both of them do fit a little bit better in maybe our, and maybe it's just like easier to recognize, like in like a Western sense of the word.
Mhm.
Um, because I do feel like there's this very clear um corporation. Of course, again, in Alita, it's even more clear, rather than the OVA, but this like vector corporation that's like operating out of this city in the sky. And there's very clearly these like have and have nots. You do get into this sort of, you know, people living their daily lives in a lesser place in the streets,
Yep.
but yet surrounded by, this amazing technology that's capable of moving things forward.
Yep.
um I think the world itself like I said before, in Alita was a little bit jarring because it was so like bright and colorful. And I'm just so used to Cyberpunk being a little bit darker and grimmer, where I thought that worked in the OVA as opposed to this one was I said it was Disneyfied. It's maybe a little bit of a strong word to call it Disneyfied, but there were just like some color palettes that I was like, oh, we could have like toned this down so that when we got to the darker stuff, I could have transitioned easier. But yeah, I think it worked. And that's actually the part of Alita that I did think worked the best for Cyberpunk was like this group of kids. You get to see them a little bit more and see what they're doing and like see them eke out this existence, you know, as like a kind of like a punk gang going around like stealing organs and, you know, doing all these different things. So I thought that opposition worked well.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's settled nicely, very resolutely in Cyberpunk, whilst being a different vision from any of the other Cyberpunk that I'd seen. So I really appreciated that about it, for being quite original, at least in terms of stuff that I've seen or consumed. I'm hopeful there is like two things to come away with. I'm hopeful they're going to make a sequel to the movie. I know I've heard people talk about it. I don't know. We'll see. And I am excited to read the manga. I just started it. And my first impression was this looks very like the adaptations, you know?
Sure.
Like
yeah.
But the art was quite good. And you know, so the character designs are a little different or whatever, but it was good. So I have the first volume. I think it came free on Amazon Prime at one point or something.
Okay.
So I have that, and we'll see after that where I go with it.
Sure.
But
yeah, I really enjoyed the story, both I think clearly in the OVA and in Alita. So it's just, I think truly my takeaway is that it's just such a bummer that the OVA is what it is, because I think it could have been so much more.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, that's been like what, 4 weeks of Cyberpunk things?
Yeah, solid like month of Cyberpunk.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll have to figure out what now, but I'm trying my best to be holly and jolly in the Christmas spirit.
Well, maybe we should just totally switch gears. I mean, it is very nearly Christmas.
Yeah.
Maybe we should watch something Christmassy for next week, if we can decide on what that is.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to look at some stuff. I know there's a number of new things. I've been interested in seeing Kurt Russell's portrayal of Santa. There's that Netflix Santa.
Oh my God, yes. Like the Santa Claus Chronicles or something.
Something like that.
Christmas Chronicles. Yeah, there you go.
Another one is coming or is about to be out or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well,
but there's other stuff.
And it's not going to be that long until we've got Wonder Woman, since that's coming out on Christmas.
Yes. So that might be the thing. Christmas movie. And then after that, we got to talk about Wonder Woman, of course.
Absolutely.
I might try to squeeze into, I don't know if we'll get to it or not, but there is a new movie by, what's the guy from 300? Gerard Butler. Yep.
Okay.
There's a new movie coming that's going to be available this Friday on all like digital platforms or whatever to, I don't know, buy or rent or something. And it's a catastrophe movie. It is an asteroid is coming kind of thing. And the trailer really sold me on it. Like, I love a disaster movie, and I think there are very few good ones. You know, like Armageddon has its moments, you know, it's kind of type of film or whatever.
Classic.
And like there's a couple volcano movies, you know, there's Volcano and there's Twister, you know, some of these kind of in the 90s
Day
or
after
whatever.
tomorrow, we got our like ice storm, climate change.
Yes. Yep. Well, I hate that one, but I mean, that's one of my examples of terrible ones. There was another one too then that same guy did with he has the boombox on his shoulder always in the
John Cusack?
Yes. He's in some disaster movie that looked terrible. And it was just
it's like 2012 or something. And it's
something like that.
Yeah, I totally know what you're talking about.
But it was just like
I've got like one mental image from the trailer where like it pushes like this ocean tanker up on like a wave at a city or something. Okay. And you're like, stop it, don't. Yeah. I totally know what you're talking about.
Day After Tomorrow was the beginning of the end of like Jump the Shark. It was just too much. So, but we've had a break now. And Alan put in Greenland. That's what it's called.
Yes. Greenland. Oh, I was right. Sorry. I was right about John Cusack movie, 2012. A frustrated writer struggles to keep his family alive when a series of global catastrophes threatens to annihilate mankind.
And they just, the problem with the movies is they always have to keep trying to up the stakes.
Yeah.
Or how, so I remember from the trailer, the car driving on the like mega bridge or whatever, and it's just crumbling and folding right behind him, just like the wheels are barely on the road. It's like, come on, do you need to be that ridiculous all the time, the entire movie, and for us to like try to feel a sense of urgency and dread here?
Right.
No, don't. It doesn't. So anyways, Greenland.
This is a circuitous rant by both of us on disaster movies.
Well, and there's stuff I've been wanting. It's still the one on Netflix, with Peter Parker and Robert Pattinson, Devil Inside or whatever it is, Devil All the Time. Mm-hmm. There's a movie with Kevin Costner that's available now to rent and stuff. It was just in theaters. Looks like kind of a classic thriller sort of thing.
Okay.
It's a lot of stuff. I just can't get it up.
Where's the time?
Yeah. So, all right, real quick before we end, are you doing well on Housewives?
You mean, am I keeping up?
Yeah. I mean, like, are you enjoying it and seeing what's all the craziness that's happening
on Salt Lake City? Yeah, because that's the only thing I think that's available right now. Yeah.
No, Salt Lake City and
Potomac Atlanta just had their reunion.
Started. And yes, so we're gonna watch the Potomac reunion tonight.
Okay. So yeah, I'm keeping up on Salt Lake City. They're a lot right away.
Yep.
So I'm still interested because there's still enough like of Salt Lake City and like the different traditions and like the different like kinds of people that are there, but these housewives are alternately a lot from some of them and like nothing from the others. Like the two that look exactly alike, like Meredith and oh god, I can't remember the other one's name. I think it's maybe Lisa. I'm having trouble with them because like they don't have like a lot of like strong personality going, and then you get to like
Mary.
Yeah, like Mary and Jen have so much personality. I feel like they could like siphon that away from them and put it into Meredith and Lisa and just like balance some of it out. But
next time you have any sort of party, I expect to be given a gift box of like couture.
Yes.
Okay, or whatever, So
yes, absolutely. Give you a live fish as well. Just like, and I'm gonna give you a journal so you can like immediately write down a thought that you want to share with everybody.
Yep. Yeah. Something shady for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Please.
All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in this week. We'll catch you next week. I want to thank quickly Killing the Flower for our theme song. Check them out on YouTube and Spotify. Check us out here on Twitch. Follow us. Go to YouTube. Follow, subscribe, like, comment on Facebook and Twitter. That kind of thing. Give us comments. We'll try to get to them. I mean, there's a lot. We'll try to get to them. We'll try to read through them all. But anyways, yeah. I'm John. Thanks again for joining me, Andrea.
Of course. Cheers, everyone.